Gandora, a decklist that's known for just performing really nice little neat magic tricks on your opponent's field and graveyard, making them disappear. Now Gandora has always faced one very glaring problem, and that is, they don't really have a turn 1 play. Their entire play at the moment was just, well, I'm gonna search a Kiteroid. No, that's it, that's where that sentence stops. Yeah, so it turns out, they don't have a turn 1 play. Until now, because now they can perform a full Orcust combo, and of course because Orcust is just gonna lock you to darks, Gandora is dark. It doesn't care about the lock. So this has a great turn 1 play, and going second, it now has a play it can make before summoning Gandora to make sure your opponent has nothing on the field that might disrupt what you're about to do to them. Yeah, this decklist is going to be nuts.
What the fuck?
So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get to the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently about 35% of people watching this are even subscribed to the channel, meaning 65% of you haven't even clicked that button yet. So if you guys are enjoying this content and want to see more videos just like this in the future, I have a whole bunch of more pack content based around this new box coming out real soon, including your Galaxies, your Chronomalies, your S-Force, another Automaton video which will contain Orcust as well. So if you want to see any of that stuff, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's get into this deck list. So this is going to be one of the very few times on my channel I'm going to be recommending a 30 card deck list, because normally 30 cards, that's hella inconsistent, you don't want to do that. But for this particular deck list, you've got so much garbage in here just because the skill forces you to play all these gadgets that you just really don't want to draw any of them, so playing 30 card means you just have a less likely chance of drawing these really bricky cards, including multiple Gandoras or drawing multiple Orcust cards. It just makes it so that you're not going to brick as often, which is a weird thing to say, but that's basically how this deck list functions. So the way this deck list works, if you've never played Gandora before, is basically going first, you want to sort of set up a bit of a defensive board, so then when the turn passes back to you, you can summon your Gandora and just completely nuke the field. Because you generally want to get off 2 activations of your skill, because your skill just allows you to take 1 card in your hand, put it back in the deck, and add a Gandora to hand, and put a Gandora name in your graveyard. So if you do that twice, you'll get multiple Gandoras in the graveyard, so when you special summon out your big Gigarays over here, he'll be an absolute Giga Chad, because the more Gandora names you have, you just nuke everything on the field, banishing everything on the field, and in the graveyard. So that's basically the entire game plan. And the reason Orcust is so damn good in this particular deck list is because it gives this deck list an actual turn 1 play that isn't just search Kiteroid and pass. Because if you've seen some of my previous videos, the whole purpose of the whole idea of Orcust is if you just get 2 monsters on the field, any 2 monsters at all, would that be a gold gadget summoning out a silver gadget, or a silver gadget summoning out a red, or activate an Infinitrack to summon out a Wagon, or Wagon search for a copy of your Soulhorns, equip Soulhorns, summon it to the field, any 2 different names on the field, and you can just summon out a Knightmare Phoenix. Then summon out a Knightmare Mermaid, and that's full Orcust combo, because Knightmare Mermaid gets this dude out, and you get the full ball rolling, which I won't show you here because you'll just see it during the gameplay anyway. There's no point me trying to explain it all. But that's the whole purpose. You'll basically end on a quick effect summon of your Dingirsu using a trap card to remove one of your opponent's monsters, and if you're lucky enough, you'll actually end on a Gigant X to actually search for a Kiteroid as well. So you have a Kiteroid in grave or Kiteroid in hand, and a trap card that will summon out a pop during your opponent's field. Last thing I want to mention with this deck list is keep in mind your skill is really damn good at getting garnets out of your hand. So what I mean by that is, if you open something like your trap card or one of your Orcust monsters that you really just don't want in your hand for whatever reason, maybe you open 2 Orcust monsters or whatever cards, you want to put them back in the deck list, keep in mind the skill just grabs cards, puts them back in the deck list, and searches for a Gandora. So this deck list doesn't really have any actual garnets, because all cards, if you draw them and you don't want them, chuck them back in the deck list, and then you can search for them later anyway, and you're just good to go. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the deck list portion. Let's get into some gameplay. Alright, so today I have 4 replays to share with you guys, all of which were gathered in Platinum, but keep in mind the season literally reset today. This deck is easily a cockable deck list, and I'm pretty sure this replay here was actually a legend rank up anyway, so this deck list is easily a cockable deck list, if not a top tier deck list, as I'm pretty sure Gandora with all this new stuff is really strong, as you'll see. So I've got a going first replay, a going second replay, a bit of a for fun replay I think you guys will enjoy, and a replay that's just a very boring, stock standard showing you the turn 1 setup, which has no back and forth, and I'm pretty sure my opponent can see it instantly, but I just wanted to show off the stock standard sort of board you can set up, which is, yeah, the purpose of this replay. So this replay is not going to be exciting at all, this one is a very boring one, just showing off this turn 1 setup for this deck. Alright. So what Gandora used to do, is it basically, when it was meta relevant, is it would just search for a Kiteroid and then pass. Because that's all it wants to do. Because when it goes second, or when it passes the turn back to you, you summon your Gandora, nuke the field, and hit your opponent for 1 billion damage. But now, not only can we search for a Kiteroid, but we could also set up a full Orcust combo as well, depending on the hand. Otherwise you can just go for a standard Orcust combo, as you'll see in one of the other replays. Alright, so in this hand, I've got 3 monsters that can be summoned all to the field this turn, because Gold Gadget summons your Infinitrack, which summons your Green Gadget. And there's a few other ways you can do this, like your Superheavy Samurai, for example, with like a Gold Gadget, summon your Superheavy Samurai, we'll then search for the little dude, equip into the Superheavy Samurai, summon it to the field, and that's 3 monsters. Alright, so summon Gold Gadget, summons out level 4, summons out level 4, gives a search. And from here, I can make a copy of my Gigant with the 2 level 4s, search for a Kiteroid, or even searching for, by the way, if you have a Kiteroid in hand, you could search for an extender here, for example, on the following turn. Or a starter on the following turn, I should say. Alright, going to a Knightmare Phoenix, swapping it out for a Knightmare Mermaid. Mermaid, of course, discarding Kiteroid because it's fantastic in the graveyard. And it's better to keep level 4s for potential follow-up on the next turn. Go into our Automaton, banish, special summon, banish, send to the graveyard, then special summon. Shuffle back into the deck, grab our trap card. And then of course summoning out our Dingirsu, who will then add a copy of this underneath him. And then the turn, using our Gandora skill to search for a Gandora card and send a Gandora, or place a Gandora in the graveyard. So on the next turn, we can special summon out a Gandora with 1 billion names in the graveyard and nuke everything, gaining 1 billion attack and lethaling our opponent. Now, the thing with this sort of end board is, we've got a Kiteroid in graveyard, and of course we've got your full Orcust combo. So your Orcust combo will now have a release on field, which can tribute these 2 dudes, bring back a Dingirsu to remove a card my opponent controls. And if my opponent does get through the Dingirsu then, just wipes my field somehow, obviously the Kiteroid's in there for protection, and of course on the following turn, on top of being able to do all this Gandora stuff, I'll have a Cymbal in graveyard to resummon out this Dingirsu, or I'll have a copy of my Harp in the graveyard to summon out another Orcust from deck to go into various link plays, including your Knightmare Unicorns, go into your Orcustrator, whatever you feel like. This deck list just has, yeah, a whole lot of plays when the turn passes back to me. And yeah, my opponent just concedes here, so like I said, very boring replay, just wanted to show off the turn 1 setup real quick. Alright, now let's get into some actual back and forth sort of gameplay. Alright, so I think this one was the going first one. Alright, so there was a Harpy replay and a mirror match one, before we get into the rather spicy replay at the end, which had a lot of silly things happen. Alright. This was a mirror match, I believe, where I misplayed a little bit. Alright, so summon my dude, summon out my dude. Thankfully we already have the Kiteroid, so I didn't even need to summon the 3rd monster to get the search, so I can just go for a full Orcust play here. Knightmare Mermaid, discarding a card. Discarding a Gandora for more names in graveyard, because you don't really need that Gandora in hand anyway, better to keep the Kiteroid to protect myself. Alright, sending the Horror. Summoning the Cymbal. Automaton going back in, grabbing a copy of my release. Finishing on Dingirsu, putting this dude underneath, and ending the turn there. Oh yeah, sorry, Determination to fight first, searching for my dragon and putting another dude in grave. He Booker Moons me. I don't think he realizes the trap card doesn't need this to be face up, but I guess he didn't know that. Alright, Siri. Interesting. Alright. So, unfortunately, I'm a bit dumb. I completely forgot that he used this at the start of the turn to put this dude in graveyard, so I was like, oh, if I just remove this, he can't make his Link 2 and he can't play anymore. I'm just super dumb. He has this thing in graveyard, so complete misplay here. It lets him summon back a dude. But thankfully I have Kiteroid to protect myself, even if he can potentially lethal me. Let's go through his Automaton. Knightmare sending to graveyard, special summoning him back. There's a whole lot of stuff apparently. There's the Evening Star. So he can now bring back his thing and potentially go for lethal, which he didn't do. I guess he wanted to quick effect this. He knew I had Kiteroid when he tried to swing in, saw that was a response. I didn't use the Kiteroid though, because I had no reason to. Pretty sure he didn't even use Cymbal yet, so he could have summoned back the, I don't know, he could have, I was sure he could have had some sort of lethal there, but anyway. Alright, turn passes back. I'm going to start by summoning my Dingirsu to remove his only back row, which we know what it is, but just for show purposes we do this. Then I'm going to go full Gandora stuff. Summon Gandora, nuke the field, banishing absolutely everything, 20 trillion attack, and yeah, he's just dead on field. Alright, so even with a misplay, there's a standard sort of going first replay, where the whole goal is just to survive a turn, then Gandora your opponent. It's already pretty hard for them to just play through the Orcust stuff itself, as you'll see in this replay, where I don't even think I use Gandora, I just Orcust my opponent to death, and this is going second. The Orcust stuff is so goddamn strong. The fact this is a Gandora decklist, and the Orcust stuff can win by itself, it's a really good sign this decklist has such a good chance to be top tier. It's so good. It can actually play through, it can play through a few disruptions as well, potentially, depending on your starting hand. I think this one only played through one, so it wasn't that exciting. Alright. And he's using a rather outdated decklist playing Harpy. It's been a while since this decklist was top tier. Activating Hunting Ground, nice buddy. Alright, so normal summon Gadget, summoning my Drill, which then summons out my Superheavy Samurai, which in search for our Soulhorns. Now Anchor Drill, this is the reason why, by the way, I have 2 copies of Dingirsu in the extra deck, because you can actually use these two to make a rank 8, which can be Dingirsu, so I can instantly try to remove the back row, force it out. Now, by the way, I actually got a chance here where I could have, in response to the Swallow's Nest, used DD Crow, which I think would have made this thing unable to activate its effect. So, I think I misplayed here, but either way, who cares? Would have made the replay very boring, so. Alright, send that to the graveyard. Pops his own field spell because he's got no other choice. And now I have full Orcust combo sitting on the field right here. So I can just equip this to my dude, bring it forward, link over to Phoenix, and go for full Orcust combo. And keep in mind, by the way, if somehow he had some other sort of disruption, or like some way to maybe like turn Slink face down or something, I still have the Gandora backup plan of use my skill, send Slink to the graveyard, or sorry, use my skill, put Slink back in the deck list, grab a Gandora, summon it to the field, and then board wipe. It won't gain a billion attack, but it will just destroy the whole field, so Gandora is always a nice backup plan. Alright, go for my Automaton. Nightmare Banish, blah blah blah, you've seen most of this before. Horror, searching for a copy of Skeleton. I'm dumb here, and I think I searched for... Oh no, I don't search the wrong one, never mind. Wrong replay, thinking of something else. Grab my Release. Go for the wrong card here. This should have been a Knightmare Unicorn, because I could just discarded, removed this, and then I could have summoned back with the, wherever it is, the Harp, and I just had lethal on field. Forget this card actually can't attack the turn it uses its effect. Do remember that, it's a fairly key important part of this card's text, so this card can't attack the turn it uses its effect, so this should have been a Knightmare Unicorn, we just had lethal. Not that it mattered, because it turns out my opponent also can't read, and he saw this effect go off and thought he had lethal on field. Thought I had lethal on field. Also, I don't know why I was even going to lose a card on field, because I knew I couldn't attack with it, so... Yeah, either way. He didn't have much hope there. Alright, final replay. This one's a bit more of a fun replay, just showing off me doing a bunch of dumb stuff with a brick hand. Alright, I forget what this matchup was too. Might have been a mirror? I don't quite remember. Oh no. No, I forgot. Alright, so this is a legend rank up too. Alright. So this hand is god awful. We have no way to summon 2 level 4s, and we don't even have a Kiteroid, so absolutely abysmal. I do have a DD Crow, so that's a card, I guess. So yeah, I'm just gonna set my dude and pass. Very depressing. Alright, versing Fluffle too, which could have been scary. Oh yeah, it was a pseudo mirror match. He was playing Orcust, as you'll see in a second. So Toy Vendor discards an Orcust. I'm like, oh, no. We're getting rid of that before it uses its effect. And Crow it. Get that shit out of here. And thankfully, he wasn't able to lethal me, despite playing a deck list that is very damn good at lethaling your opponent when it goes second. Thankfully, his hand mustn't have been that great. Alright. And this is where the silly shit happens. I summon my card, nuke the field. By the way, I drew my only other Gandora, so I couldn't use my skill. Very interesting stuff. Either way, 3,900 attack. So he's gonna live on 100 life points. Because of course he does. Of course I'm just shy. Turn starts. As soon as the standby phase goes, he yoinks my card. I draw a Gadget, which doesn't do anything. Then, of course, of all the machines to draw, I draw the other Gadget with the same name. So I can't do Orcust combo, because you need 2 monsters with different names to make your Knightmare Phoenix. So it's like, great. Guess I'll make a Gigant and get a search. Which, by the way, searching for this card, it's a 1-card starter, unlike a lot of these other ones, which require you to have another monster in hand. Wagon just summons, changes itself to defense, activates effect, swap to attack, search for your little equip spell, equip your monster with the other monster, and it summons itself, and there you go, Knightmare. Alright, so I just searched my 1-card starter, because my opponent drew another Crackdown, by the way. But thankfully, it doesn't matter, because now we have a billion ways to lethal. I think even just Knightmare Phoenix is lethal, because I could Knightmare Phoenix this, and then just hit him in the face. But I'm going to go for a more spicy stuff, try to do a bit more Orcusty things for the lols. I think my opponent just concedes before I go too far though, sadly. Get my Automaton, I'll send to Graveyard to special summon, and he concedes before I get to have any fun. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you didn't, leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.